He's trying to remember how to turn the stream on.
No, I've worked it out. No, I was trying to work out why my push to talk key didn't work at certain times. Right, yes. I think we're all good and set up. Were you listening to any of that?
I was
Bwappy?
listening to the last section.
Okay, cool. So essentially, the group. Well, there was a little bit of investigating because there were a few things going on in town, but essentially, yeah, as you heard, they've just kind of grabbed some horses and hightailed it out of town with Nix on Campania. I don't know if you would rather say that you've just been there the whole time, you've just been being a bit quiet, or if you would like to say your character's been doing something else and then you joined them.
We'll go with the simple one and say I've been there the whole time.
Okay, cool. You've just been uncharacteristically taciturn this morning.
I've been incredibly hungover. We'll go with that.
Fair enough. That's a good enough reason.
He was pretending to be one of the horses that we found. He likes making.
Method acting.
Sorry.
Okay, cool. So, you have successfully got out of town. As you can see, yeah, you all have the map to look at now. The map has Prosperity Junction covering quite a wide area. It's got that gold compass, which is the symbol of the ATC. Kind of the town's in the middle of it, and then the rather large symbol is supposed to represent, like, the surrounding areas with, like, the sort of mines and farms and stuff it controls. But as you can see, you're essentially kind of, like, out on the edge of the Shattered Plains where it starts to meet the Eastern Flats. I'm going to say you've been riding north out of the town, which is kind of like just along a dirt road. And you kind of like already, like, all you've really seen so far is the Shattered Plains. But just to refresh your memory, it's this fairly barren land, some areas covered in like sort of sandy coloured grasses and scrub and stuff like that. You can catch sight of like maybe some animals in the distance, mostly like herds of buffalo and that kind of thing. You see the odd bird, like vultures and things like that. You can also, off to the west, see quite a number of those floating islands I mentioned. But to the east you don't really see them. They're pretty much just over, like, towards the west. The further you get into the Shattered Plains, the more you see of them. The weather's fairly hot, but it's bearable. Sun's starting to come up. Like, those of you who are wearing hats, is probably a good idea, not to sound like your mother. Yeah, but essentially you've made your way out of town. We'll say there was a third horse for Blintz, because I think that's easier than saying that there's even more of you crammed on than you already had.
This makes me incredibly happy.
Okay, you get your own horse. But yeah, you are riding north out of town along a road. You have some knowledge of the world. Indeed, you have maps, and you can see this kind of information. What do you want to do?
Does anyone have a compass or anything? I'm saying this to the rest because Gil's Ranch was northeast out of town. We can head northeast. Eventually, we'll get there.
I think I actually might. I'm just checking.
Yeah, I sort of vaguely remember you buying a compass, but I don't remember.
I'll be super impressed if you did, because that shows preparation.
Where's my inventory?
If you go on your character sheet, then the background tab, you should get your equipment.
I don't.
We could say, for the sake of argument, maybe Calpurnia does. Like, if you just want to know something simple, like which way is north.
Yeah, just to get the rough direction for Gil's Ranch.
Okay, cool. So As you know, you've headed out of town roughly north. There seem to be a couple of roads, like roads in inverted commas. They're kind of like more like this repeated wagon tracks. Some seem to be heading off kind of like more north west, and then yeah, there seem to be a few trails that lead to the northeast. So that's probably your best bet if you want to be heading towards Gil's Ranch.
I mean,
Yeah.
Yep.
Just head that way.
Sounds like a good idea.
Okay, so
Maybe-
you can
maybe just
essentially
a brief
follow these
guide.
tracks.
Yeah, can we stay off the road though, just in case like any other people are coming along?
I think it might be a better idea to just nail it on the road.
Is it not all going to be really flat anyway? We're going to get spotted regardless where we are.
True, mate. Yeah, okay. Yep, you guys are right.
Well, let me provide a little more artwork. Now we've looked at the map, so you can get a sense of where you are.
There's even
Nice
more
sound effects.
My immersion.
So yeah, so it's fairly flat. Like there are basically, as you leave the shattered plains behind, as I said, these islands in the sky kind of tend to disappear. The ground becomes flatter, but there are kind of like these shallow valleys, and then like the occasional hill range and stuff like that. The sort of dirt road that you're following mostly seems to be like just heading across like this long, wide valley off into the northeast. Tolly?
I was going to say, does Calpurnia know that she was being basically chased? Like, is she aware of the danger they were just in?
Well, she must have heard them slamming on the doors and stuff, right? So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean she was with you, so she knows more or less the same amount that you know.
I'll explain to her about the weird. What's her name? The woman, the hawk.
Oh, Kestrel.
Kestrel. My God. Sorry. Yes, I'll explain to her that there was a woman out there with a hawk, definitely looking for her and Nyx, because they're on my horse, aren't they?
They are on your horse. She's not heard of that woman until, you know, she showed up at the chapel this morning. But, like, Calpurnia says, like, they've been on the run for so long. Like, this woman's just, like, the last in a long line of people who seem to have been out to get them. And she seems quite down about it, and she's like, I thought once we got through the Arc Gate and we got onto this world that, you know, we wouldn't have to deal with this anymore. But I was wrong.
I'll just try.
Can I? Oh no, I'm on the wrong horse. Don't worry.
Well, you're riding. You can be riding alongside. Well, actually, technically, Twig can be flustering along. You could go sit on whichever horse you like.
I flutter over to Nyx and just sit on her shoulder and sort of pat her on the face, like, sort of caringly.
Yeah, I'll try and comfort
Calpurnia
a little bit. Yeah, and sort of say, yeah, look, at least we're on the way now.
Yeah, and Calpurnia is grateful for that. Like, she says she doesn't actually know. Like, she's been in the war. Like, she's seen a few things, but like, she doesn't actually know what would have happened if you guys hadn't shown up. So she does express that she's grateful. And Nyx actually seems okay. I mean, she particularly likes sort of Twig and Dexys, and yeah, like, you know, you cheer her up.
Is there anything? Can I do a perception check, like, while we're going along, to see if there's anything of note?
Yeah, sure.
Another
yeah.
perception check.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to find some other ways of making you investigate the world.
Whilst Tolly's doing that, can I keep a lookout for any like crates of weird ore or anything specifically for that?
You can keep it. Sorry, did you decide where you were traveling? You're just gonna go along the road.
Yeah, follow
Towards
the
Gil's
road.
Ranch, yeah.
Okay, cool. You don't notice any convenient crates of weird ore lying around, no. As you travel.
Any knolls?
Well, no, you don't. There's no sign of any gnolls. Like I said, like there's a few buffalo herds you see on the horizon. The odd vulture. Otherwise, the place is fairly windy and desolate.
Okay. I'm just happy to sit there in silence and my own thoughts. In fact, I'm gonna try and read my book whilst I'm going along on this horse.
Fair enough. I think it's fair to say you're not. I mean, unless you're like galloping full speed, but I imagine as you're like long distance traveling, you're probably going at a more moderate pace. So yeah, you can sort of read your book while you're going along.
Like, read little bits of it to Nyx and assume that she's really interested, and I'm just gonna like be telling her about the world that she came from. Yeah, being a really boring old shaman.
Okay, fair enough. She kind of like nods. Well, I mean, you can't really see her because you got your back to her, but she kind of like makes like a few enthusiastic noises at first, and then after a while, she seems to not respond to you as much.
I'm just gonna keep going.
And I'm sort of making little jokes about Krosek to Nick's, like, oh god, he's so boring. You know, subtly.
I ignore all of this. I just keep reading my book out loud.
Okay,
Out loud?
cool.
Yeah.
I know, right? So I just Twig made a perception test as well, just for generally travelling along. There's not too much to notice. Like I said, it's fairly sort of windy, barren type place. Not too much really happens like as you're travelling. Like it's sort of just quite a nice, quiet horseback ride. Cavod and Blint, is there anything you particularly do while you're travelling cross country to pass the time?
I sing.
You sing. What kind of things do you sing?
Old dwarvish marching songs.
Never gonna give you up.
Never let you down. Were you that showed me the one where it goes really high pitched
No,
at times?
no,
Oh, okay. Right. Sorry.
out of character.
Maybe Blint does a variety of versions of that song, including a high-pitched one.
I feel the need to show you it.
Perhaps later.
Sorry. Carry on.
That's cool. Cavod, anything in particular you do on this journey?
No, just gazing around at the scenery.
Yeah, fair enough. So, you spend most of the day travelling. Like I say, it's mostly uneventful. You maybe come across a couple of travellers coming the other way on the road. Like both times, it's just sort of a lone person on horseback. They kind of like give you a nod. Like the first one's like a halfling with a horse kind of like loaded up with a lot of stuff, and he kind of like gives you a friendly nod and a wave as you pass, but not too big a deal. The second one is just a sort of regular human guy, kind of like just seems to be travelling along. He's riding faster than you, so he passes you quite quickly, and not much significance to that either.
Is he coming from behind us?
No, sorry, no, he's coming. They're both coming the opposite way.
Okay. Can I have a look around, see if I can spot anything behind us? You know, just keep an eye out.
Sure. Okay. You keep an eye on what's going on behind, but no one ever seems to really be following you at all. You see those two people when they pass you, and you watch them as they sort of disappear over the edge of the horizon, and everything seems quiet.
I'm happy to just keep riding until it starts to get dark.
Yeah, pretty much. You do keep riding, keep going on the road. Eventually the sun starts to set. What do you want to do? I mean, you could keep riding, you could find a place to make camp.
I asked Calpurnia if she thinks we should keep going or if we should halt and stop for the night.
Okay, Calpurnia kind of looks at Nyx, who's sort of like basically almost asleep. The only reason she's still upright on the horse is because she's pressed between Calpurnia and Crossek on the horse, and she says, "It might be best if we get a little rest, but
Okay.
maybe we'd be safer if we went off the road a little bit in case someone comes in the night."
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree. I
Yeah,
think it's a good
I
idea.
also agree. I think we should stop.
Let's find some place to rest.
Should we ride off the road for a little bit and then?
Yeah, and see if we can find somewhere that's safe-ish.
Yeah, can we look around for any like big scrub piles of like bushes or anything, or like a big rock or something?
I like to keep an eye out for something to eat on the way.
Not like animals.
A hare or something. You never know.
You don't see much in the way of animals, certainly not like near you. Like I said, maybe the occasional thing on the horizon, but then it often disappears out of sight. While you're sort of searching around, like there is a kind of a slope that leads down off to one side of the dirt track, and as you and there's some scrub and bits kind of around there, and as you kind of go down and have a look around it, you see there's actually a small watering hole kind of like down kind of at the bottom of this slope, maybe I don't know, like maybe 5 minutes walk down off the track, and there's like a little ridge and a few bits of scrub and tree, like a couple of trees around the water.
Does it look fairly abandoned, or does it look like people have been kind of passing by there recently?
It looks pretty abandoned. There's a few animal tracks going to it, but
Okay.
yeah, like it's probably the trees and the scrub and the ridge probably provide the best cover that you can see around here.
I'm gonna head down there then. I'm gonna get my big. I'm gonna like unhook my pan off my back. I'm gonna make a little fire and start doing some cooking.
Okay,
I've got
cool.
my-
So
What are you going to cook?
Fairly high intelligence. I imagine I can cook.
I'm saying you can't cook. I'm saying what are you going to cook?
Oh, what am I gonna?
Not sure if intelligence relates to cooking.
I'll ask this.
Don't know. Well, I'm gonna start cooking anyway, and yeah. Do we have nighttime music now? Oh, we're on a map.
you are on a map.
Oh,
I made a variety of sort of different Plainsland maps that we can sort of use just for sort of general stuff. Hopefully you can still all use your counters. I'm seeing movements, that's good.
I'm gonna set up a little fire and yeah, ask Twig if she'll keep a lookout for a little while.
Where would you
yeah.
like to set up your fire?
I guess I'm next to a tree, so just under this tree here.
I recommend down the. It looks like a lip. Is that right?
Looks like a ledge.
Like a ledge, like the water part's slightly lower.
Oh, do you reckon I should make it down there?
That's what I would recommend.
Yeah, no, like the bit where Crossek's standing is the higher part, and then like there's a kind of a ridge down, and yeah.
I'll make my way around to right here, and then I'll set up a little fire between these two bushes, and yeah.
There you go.
Oh,
Congratulations, you
Wow.
have made a little fire. Isn't
Nice.
technology
One fire
great?
Yes. I'm gonna start making some really. I'm gonna make some like stew, I guess. Do I have any like dried meats or anything?
You have, yeah, like you did a little resupply, didn't you?
Yeah.
So yeah, you got like some dried jerky and a few things like that, some herbs, spices, bread, like basic
just
traveling
gonna make-
provisions.
Little saurian stew. That's me done. I'm gonna sit there and read my book.
Okay, cool. Calpurnia brings Nyx over to the fire. Calpurnia and Nyx kind of have their own rations, so Cal feeds Nyx, and like I said, Nyx is super tired, so they kind of like just curl up together, like with their backs against the ridge, and Nyx goes to sleep, and Calpurnia just kind of like, she doesn't really sleep, but she has her rifle, and she kind of likes to just sort of doze with her rifle in one hand and her other arm around Nyx, and that's what they do as the sun goes down. Any other camp-like preparations you'd like to do?
I'm just sort of keeping watch. I'm like pacing, I guess, in between where me and Dexys are.
Okay, cool.
I'll say pacing, you know, like fluttering.
So you're just more or less planning on just staying guard for a while?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Blint?
I'm going to walk my horse over here. And like, does it have a saddle and stuff? I know, were it not saddled?
They weren't saddled. They had like basic reins harness on, but they hadn't been properly saddled.
Is this like little shrubbery sort of thing? Little grass?
Yes, and you can see kind of like where the tree trunks are, like they're circles in the shadows.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to walk my horse under the shade, pull some crap out of the ground, rub it down a bit and let it drink and get some shade and rest and stuff. And
Okay,
basically,
cool.
That's what I'm going to do.
Alright, that sounds good. I think it's maybe safe to assume that everyone ties their horse up somewhere. And
Yeah,
yeah,
mine's tied to that tree under the shade and water and everything.
that's very caring of you as a horse owner.
And then he starts
I have
neighing
plans
to
for
it
that
softly.
horse.
Oh god.
No, you'll find out.
Can I take people around some food and start like tollying things? And obviously Nixon. I'll hand out the stew.
Remember not to give me an entire bowl, because I'm like
It's just,
No,
a
don't.
little tiny scrap of nothing.
Should we think about a watch schedule?
I'll just stay up all night.
I'll stand watch. I like the darkness.
Shifts is recommended.
Yes, very much. I like red shifts.
Oh, can I like douse the fire a bit after I've eaten, and then
Yeah,
So-
sure.
yeah,
Yeah, you can
so
kind of like, I'm guessing you know what you're doing with a fire. So yeah, you can sort of reduce it after you're done cooking.
I'm gonna curl up for a bit then, get some kip.
And once I've got the horse sorted and everything, when names of Raj's character, who's I can't remember, brings me the stew over, I move
Krozak.
over. When Krozak brings me the stew, I move over and join everybody else once the horse is sorted.
Okay, great. And some of you have decided to keep watch.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So, yeah, it gets dark, and not much happens. And you start to get drowsy, as you might. But those of you who aren't going to sleep, stay up and find ways of keeping yourself active through the night. And it's a pretty quiet night, just like sort of cicadas and crickets and stuff. Nothing too loud happens until at some point, maybe after 4 or 5 hours, after you made camp, suddenly in the sky you hear this like giant rushing sound of air, like in the night sky. And at first it's kind of like this kind of like just sort of almost thunder-like noise, like it's kind of like a rumbling thunder sound quite far away, but it starts to get louder and louder and louder, and it gets to the point where those of you who are asleep are woken by it, because it almost sounds like a storm's happening above you, even though there's no clouds. And then there's just this sudden rush of air, and as you look up, you can see essentially the stars and Verdant, which is, like a green sphere in the sky. They're just suddenly blotted out as something very, very large flies over you with such force that the earth kind of shakes. but it passes over you in a moment, and then it's gone, and the thundering sound kind of like disappears off into the distance.
Did I catch the shape?
Sorry?
Did I catch the shape of this creature? Or is it so big you can't really?
It was pretty big. You could make out that there was kind of like a large, long body, and what you guess were maybe a couple of wings. But like it was very big, and there was no light really to see it by. It was more like just a giant shadow, like passing over, blotting out the stars. So beyond a general shape of a long body and some large wings, you didn't get much of a sense of it.
I'm not gonna go back to sleep.
That's fair enough. After it's passed, everyone's awake, and the air around you doesn't sound so quiet anymore. It sounds like there's a lot of sort of animal noises, like kind of like rustling and like sort of scraping noises, kind of like from various directions around you. It just sort of almost feels like the place has sort of come to life a bit, like all of the sleeping, whatever, life that's sort of generally been around has now been disturbed. And suddenly, rushing out of the scrub, those of you who are on watch suddenly see some like sort of dark pig-like shapes come rushing out of the scrub around you. And yeah, it's dark, so you can't get too much look at them. But yeah, some sort of large pig-like creatures seem to have been disturbed by whatever the hell was rushing up over you, and now they're kind of like just charging blindly out of the scrub. So they're all kind of like moving more or less in your direction, kind of like they're all heading up this kind of a way, heading towards the road, which is sort of up that way.
Are they ignoring us, or?
They're kind of just charging blindly, but at least a couple, like, they look like they're going to pass pretty close to the camp.
Mm.
So, like, yeah, they're kind of coming like this.
Can I sort of aim near one of them and just like cast an arcane blast on the dirt and just try and like knock some dirt up and maybe try and scare one of them like off so it veers away from us?
Yeah, sure. Do you want to roll to cast your... Oh wait, Arcane Blast isn't a spell, is it? It's like a shot.
It's just 16 yards, 1d6 plus willpower damage, but no, doesn't take any MP. It's
Okay.
a special ranged attack, so it's
Yeah.
like a normal ranged attack, but yeah.
We've not used one before. Yeah, sure. Do you want to sort of designate a spot where you're shooting at?
Sure. How do I do the ping thing again?
Click and hold.
Click and hold.
Yeah, click and hold.
I'm clicking and holding, but it's not working.
I'm seeing a marker where you're clicking.
Oh, there.
Like
Use,
around there, yeah?
Oh, yeah, that's where I'm
left.
clicking.
Okay, cool. I guess you still have to roll to hit, although we'll say it's like you're just shooting at a point, so I guess it's just you're aiming to see if you hit what you want to hit, or if your shot goes a little wide. But we'll just call it like a defense 10 point. It's fairly easy to hit.
1 second. Accuracy is 0, okay. 3d6. 10.
Okay, so you hit your point. You technically stunt if you want to do like a combat stunt from the arcane blast you do. But we're not really in a combat. It's up to you.
Is that 2 points?
There'll be 4 points. It's the first dice.
I'll just use like the lightning attack thing and make there some sort of extra lightning spark out of the ground, maybe. But
Okay,
nothing.
sure. So, well, you hit your spot. Round there. Like, it sends a bunch of rocks up, and like the air crackles with lightning, and the pig that was sort of moving in this direction is completely startled by it, and it starts charging off this way, and this pig kind of like just follows it. And as they kind of run off, you get this like you get a little sight of what they look like, and essentially they're like these very large boar creatures, but they've got like lots of extra compared to boars you're familiar with. They've got like lots of tusks, and they seem to have like lots of spines coming out of their fur. But you just get this like quick look at them as the lightning kind of like explodes in the ground, and then they're gone. These ones are kind of like heading up this way, like, oh, I've accidentally made it huge. There we go. So this one's sort of running up along the water's edge towards Blint, and this one's kind of like barreling almost straight towards Twig.
Can I get my my axe out and just stand ready just in case it comes? Like,
Yeah,
at me?
sure. Okay, you get your axe ready, and yeah, it's kind of like just charging in blind panic. It doesn't even really seem to see you. It's just moving this way, but it's gonna smash into you any moment if you don't do anything.
Kind of dodge to the side and swing my axe at it, like move like down here a bit and swing at it. Is that doable?
Yeah, good. Well, kind of. It's not really a combat. It's more like you're just reacting to the environment doing something.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So, like,
sure. So you do that. It charges past, and you swing your axe at it.
Yes.
Okay,
Try and
cool.
stop it getting up to like Nix and what have you.
Sure. Okay. Make an attack roll with your axe.
What's that again?
If you don't cut it in half, Bwappy, I'm going to be disappointed.
Your 3d6 plus 4 to hit with your axe. Okay. So you hit it. Roll for damage.
Say it again.
Well, it is, isn't it? Because the axe is really good. Okay, yeah. So yeah, it charges towards you. You do this nice little side step out the way, and as it's running past, you just bring your axe down right on top of its back, and just like almost cleave it in two, as is your signature move. And sort of it then flips over into the dust and lies down dead just before Calpurnia, who kind of like just looks down at it and looks at you and says, "Thank you."
Okay, so I need to react.
Yeah, it's basically. I mean, I'm guessing you kind of hover above the ground a little, or maybe you're on the ground. I don't know, but essentially this thing is sort of charging
like,
in your direction.
I'm definitely in chargeable height. I'm not like really high off the ground or anything. Can I just try and like dodge out the way? I just like flutter to one side.
Yeah, sure. Just make a dexterity check to dodge out the way. Okay, cool. So it charges towards you, and then just as it's about to hit you, you just kind of flap your wings and skirt to one side, and it just keeps on going without even noticing you, and charges off and disappears off like into the darkness. And you're all kind of like on edge for a moment, and you wait and listen, but then no more of them seem to be coming, and you're just left with this butchered boar in the middle of your camp. And after a minute or two, the kind of the noises and the wildlife that got disturbed seem to kind of settle down, and everything goes quiet again.
I go over to the half boar
Yes.
and I just kind of start cutting the meat off and bagging some of it up.
This is my bar, man.
Okay, never mind. I'll not do that when he complains at me. I'll look at him. And then
My kill. I want
Okay.
to like walk over and make sure Calpurnia's alright and while here, and then
Yeah, she's fine.
Start.
She didn't really flinch from it. She just kind of held onto her rifle and just like watched its remains kind of like crash onto the ground next to her.
like
But
drag the
she's
bar
good.
out of the way as well.
She's kind of I guess she covered Nyx's eyes. So Nyx hasn't seen what you did with the pig, but now Nyx is kind of like struggling a bit and going, "What is it? I want to see. I want to see."
Try drag it like a bit more out of sight, like around the bush sort of thing. If that would make it any more out of sight.
If you you can if you want. So I guess I'll drag it. I've got control of the tokens. Yeah, you can drag it around the side there, and yeah, just for the sake of the kid.
And then ask Kavod if he wants to help butcher it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go over and help.
Was it Kavod? I got the name wrong. I had to meant the other one.
Prosec,
Yeah, sorry.
go on. That's one.
They both begin with K. It's confusing.
you're a racist. You said we all look the same. We all sound the same.
Never said that. I said you both what similar names.
It's okay. I think Canny should butcher anyway. I'll
You're the chef.
I'll go over and I'll start helping him.
Okay, sure. So you help him with the meat, and you guys are experienced in what you have to do in terms of like carving up the meat and laying it out properly and all that kind of stuff. So you maybe spend about half an hour to an hour that night just butchering it and chopping it up.
Whilst we're doing that, I want to say like something really spook these pigs. Like, to make them run straight at us and not even notice us. Something must have spooked them.
Well, what do you think spooked them? I mean, it was that thing, the thing in the sky, don't you think?
What could it have been? Someone just flying over like that. What? Never heard of out like it.
Can I do?
I was going to say, since you get a chance to talk to each other about it and maybe compare notes, I'll say anyone who wants to make a cultural lore check, which is intelligence, I believe. Yeah. So obviously, if you've got a cultural lore focus, you'll be better at this. But anyone who wants to can try making a cultural lore check. It'll be a hard check, but yeah, you're welcome to do that.
I'm not even going to bother.
I have a focus in it as well, and I'm a lore novice. Hell yeah! Come on, dice.
It's intelligence, isn't it?
Yeah.
19.
Anyone else making one? Or, okay. Okay, so you guys talk about it a little bit, and like sort of about what you saw, and you kind of like you argue a little about like how big the wings were and what kind of shape the body was, but you kind of come to the conclusion that it does remind you a lot of the dragons from Verdant, like your own world, but you've like it maybe had the shape of something like a dragon, but Krossic points out that like the sound that it made, like that storming, thundering, rolling noise, like wasn't quite what that's not what a dragon would sound like. A dragon would kind of just sound like something soaring overhead, whereas this kind of almost felt like something more powerful. So you kind of conclude that something similar to a dragon, but it certainly was. There was some kind of like an energy or a force to it that was made it possibly even something even more to worry about than a dragon from your home world.
Did we see any lightning or anything whilst it was flying?
No, there was no lightning. There was just like this rushing wind and thundering sounds and like this deafening noise as it
Oh,
went over.
I have the law novice thing, so does that mean I get a little bit of extra information?
Oh yeah, you do, don't you? You have that thing where I have to give you all
Annoying
the
law thing.
answers.
Yes, you have to tell me everything.
Okay, well, because you maybe know quite a bit about the lore of dragons and stuff like that, and also you're quite magically attuned, you kind of maybe noticed something which nobody else did, which was as it flew over, there were almost like a few faint tendrils of glowing, like sort of pink and purple energy in the sky just for a moment, and your magical senses, as it were, like your attunement to the natural forces as a shaman, kind of all got slightly heightened as it passed over you. So you got the sense that this was a creature that had some sort of connection to elemental magics in a similar way to you did.
Mm.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's what you're getting.
I'll mention that to the group and say that was a bit more magical than maybe our normal dragons. We should be careful. It's not just a normal giant flying dragon. I'll mention as well, like, seeing as we're all awake, should we just get on the road again, or is it still in the middle of the night?
It's early morning, so maybe, you know, when the sky sort of it's still dark, but it's starting to get like a light colour blue, but the sun's not up yet.
Yeah, I'll ask if anyone wants to start making a move.
I sort of sigh sleepily and say, might as well.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is my horse alright? They didn't hurt my horse.
You can go check on it.
I'm gonna go check on my horse.
Oh my god, they just like gored the horse.
Not a dog.
No, the horse seems a bit spooked, but
Did the dragon or whatever it was like have any noticeable effect on the horses?
other than
Same sort of effect.
they kind of had, I'd sort of forgotten about the horses, but essentially, yeah, they had a similar effect to the other wildlife in that they got quite nervous and made a lot of noise as it went over, but then they settled down. Your horse seems a little bit spooked, probably because, you know, a bunch of pigs just like charged past it, but you can see from where the boar left like tracks in the dirt that they kind of went around the tree that it was tying to. They didn't get too close to it, so you're fairly confident. Like, yeah, your horse is fine, basically. Like, it doesn't seem to have been harmed.
Very good. I like try to calm the horse a little bit and stuff and get ready to go.
Okay, cool. So, sounds like you guys are getting all ready to move.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so you get on your horses, and I don't know if you want to use the same arrangement as before, or if you're going to sit differently.
I'll take like the carcass on the back of my horse, or what's left of it,
Okay, sure.
if there is anything left.
I'll take Dexter's again.
I will sit on Nyx's shoulder as I did last time, because she seems to like that.
Okay.
Just me and Cavod can't sit on the same horse.
Oh. I'll sit wherever. I mean, I'm tiny.
No, that's
Me-
fine. Like, Crossig's on a horse, Cavod's on a horse, Blinter's on a horse. And I'm guessing Nyx and Calpurnia will go with Crossig again. So... Yeah. Cool. Okay, so you get going, and you sort of make your way back onto the road, and you carry on in the same direction that you've been travelling yesterday. And after maybe about an hour, the sun comes up, and yeah, you continue on your journey for a couple of hours until brace for scene change. The dirt track that you're riding along, basically you see up ahead of you a couple of wagons have been turned over. And as you ride up, you see that essentially there's these bunch of crashed wagons, and it looks like there's a bunch of bodies kind of like lying amongst the wreckage.
Oh God, we forgot to find those people we said we were going to protect.
Sorry, I need to just copy you over into the scene.
Well, shit.
I don't think the map's loaded for me properly. There's like a massive black area.
Just move it along to the left and it's fine.
Oh, but can you all see stuff?
I can see it.
I can
Can't.
see 4 people and 2 carts. So I suppose
Yeah,
that's
that's what you're supposed to. I'm just trying to get you to come on and not the stupid campfire. Okay, I've got you in. So let's try and put this in some sort of order.
I'd like to be at the back.
Okay.
I feel like I'd be at the back.
So Cavod's riding with Dexis. It's a little hard to do Crossix horse because there's lots of people on it, lots of small people, but essentially we'll do it something like that. I'll have to get some tokens for horses, but yeah, essentially you come to a stop when the trail ends in, well, not ends, but like the trail's sort of been ruined by this wrecked wagons. What would you like to do?
I want to see. Oh,
sorry.
no, you go ahead. Go
I was
ahead.
gonna say, whereabouts are we on the? Okay, right. I will. I want to roll a perception check to see, like, or whatever the check is, to see if I can tell what exactly happened.
Okay, that's fine with the perception check. Do you want to go up and see? Yeah, you're gonna head over there and have a closer look. Okay, sure. Make a perception check.
Can I go and help?
Yeah,
Isn't it?
you all can. You can move wherever you like. It's not combat or anything. You can do what you wish. Okay, so Tolly's or Twig's sort of flown over and had a look, and it looks like well, as you can see, there's sort of 4 bodies. Looks like 3 hobgoblins and a human. There's a lawful lot of blood around. It looks like one of the wagons got upturned, like it crashed. And there's all these like broken boxes and barrels kind of scattered everywhere, which looks like they were thrown from the wagon and then like broke and shattered. There's some of the goods that were inside, like bags of grain and stuff like that, that have just been sort of lying around. The 3 hobgoblins are kind of like all dead and bloody. The human who's kind of in the other wagon is actually in a much worse state. He's still kind of got a sword next to him, so you'd guess maybe he was trying to fight off whatever did this to him, but he's been it looks like his body's been like thrown up onto the wagon by something strong, and it's kind of like just lodged there with like a sharp piece of wood from the wagon just jutting through it. But he's also got like claw marks that have like scraped all over his body, and it's fairly gory and gross.
Can I look round on the ground, see if there's any like noticeable tracks or anything other than the wagons?
Yeah, sure. Tracking, I think.
I'm not sure I'd be able to do that actually, really, realistically.
Well, you can still have a look. Hang on, let me just check my skill things to see what you'd use. I'm mostly trying to work out if we can get away from using just perception all the time. But yeah, I think yeah, in this case, tracking would come under perception. So if you want to make a perception test,
What's that? Sorry. It's 3d6 plus.
your perception is 1, so 3d6 plus 1.
$17.
Okay, cool. You actually
And I stunted.
stunted. I get there are such things as exploration stunts as well if you want to use them.
Got this right here. I'm going to read it now.
Okay, cool. You got 6 stunt points, so I mean, you might be able to do something as you look around for tracks.
Resources at hand. Wait a sec. Let me check the rulebook.
Okay, sure.
Whilst he's looking around, can I inspect the bodies and try and work out what kind of wounds they have?
Yeah, sure. Do you want to look at a particular body, or are you just going to sort of like just have a look at them all in turn?
I'll go over to this hobgoblin I'm standing next to and mainly check on him.
Okay, sure. From what you can see, oh, hang on, just give me a second. No, I'm back. That hobgoblin that you're standing next to, he looks like actually he broke his neck. You'd guess that he probably died as soon as he got thrown from the cart, given that he seems to be quite close to the crashed cart over here. But you do notice that there also seems to be a few scratch marks on him, like something's torn at his clothes, and there's a few scratches but not much blood has come out of them, which is why you think, oh, it looks like he got thrown from the wagon, broke his neck, and then maybe some animal was having a bit of a go at him.
Right. What about the one twig standing next to? Can I have a look at this one?
Yeah, sure. This one's quite a different story. It looks like it's been gutted, like its stomach's just been like ripped open, and yeah, it's with its insides coming out through its open stomach. Yep.
Can I notice anything about the wounds particularly? Like, does it remind me of any kinds of weapons? I'm thinking like, can I see if
Well, while we're investigating things, why don't you make a nature check, which I think is under intelligence, but I don't know if you have any focuses in it.
Let me have a look. See. Arcane, culture, and historical. So I guess not.
Okay, well, let's make an intelligence check, and then we'll see what Blint's found out.
13.
Alright, yeah, that'll do. I mean, they definitely look like claw marks of some kind. You wouldn't be able to say exactly what, but like something. You would guess that an animal did this, or at least something with very sharp claws that can tear flesh easily, because he just looks like he's been torn apart.
Is that what killed him?
You can't see anything else that would have killed
Right.
him. Yeah. Blint, do you know what you want to do with those exploration stunts?
Yes. So there's one called Resources at Hand, which lets me choose a focus that I don't have, which falls under the same ability as the test I will make.
So a perception focus.
So I can choose tracking.
Yeah, sure, okay.
So yeah, I'll just do that.
Okay, no, that seems a good use to me. Okay, so you have a look around. You can obviously see the tracks that the wagon's made. You can tell, like, sort of around this point, the wagon tracks get very erratic, and you'd guess that's when this wagon over here crashed.
Mm-hmm.
You find, like, obviously there's all these patches of blood where people were killed, but you'll find also some other blood spattered around that looks like a different colour. It's a very, very dark red, which is different to all the rest. Which you would assume, like, was maybe... You don't know if it was from an animal or something else that was here. And you also find that over here, when you're sort of tracking. You come across this blood stain which looks different to all the others. It's you see where I'm sort of pointing here with the measuring arrow?
Yeah.
Yeah, you find that blood stain, and the reason that looks different is that actually looks like something was being dragged. Like, it's not a blood spatter, it's like this long trail, like, sort of leading away. At that point, you all hear quite distinctly the sound of a bird making a shrieking noise, and like sort of high up in the sky somewhere. And Calpurnia kind of looks up and she says, maybe we shouldn't stick around. Like, what happened here was sad, but you know, we need to get moving.
Can I look up and see what kind of bird it is? Does it have bits of glass in its wings?
You can see a bird is flying very high in the sky, so you can't tell that.
Right.
But I guess essentially what you're asking if it's a certain bird, and it certainly could be the same hawk that you saw yesterday.
As I can fly, can I
Okay.
like perform like an agility check or something to go and see if I can fly up to it to see what it actually is?
You can certainly fly higher, yeah.
I'll
I'm not sure.
fly. Yeah, I figured like it'd be a bit wank if I could just go up there and be like, "Hello, I'm your flying friend." Like, I thought that's why it might need a check or something. But
I take your point. I think yeah, you can fly high, but yeah, you can certainly fly higher. But if you want to actually try and like intercept the bird, then yeah, we'll make a contest of agility checks. So if you roll your agility, and I will roll for the bird, and we'll see if you can catch up to it.
is agility under dexterity?
Oh yes, sorry, I'm talking in D&D terms that
Yeah.
don't exist. Yes, dexterity.
Maybe. Ah.
Okay, so you soar into the air and you flap your wings very hard and you get quite high up. But you know, as you're rising up, the bird seems to just like veer away and start flying off back towards the west. And like once it sort of starts soaring on the air currents, like you can't keep up with it.
Okay.
And you start to get quite out of breath and start to sort of slowly sink lower back down towards the ground.
Okay.
When Twig gets closer to us so she can hear, I am gonna ask everyone. Look, well, can I see what Blint found with the drag marks of blood, or does he have to tell us about that?
I'm going to say, since that was part of his special tracking thing, that he has to tell you.
Okay, I'm not gonna do anything then. I'll ask. Do you guys think we should try and find out what's going on here, or should we just move on? Because
I think we should move on. We were being hunted as we left town.
yeah, but what if there's people still alive here? I mean,
I sort
Oh.
of gesture around at all of the bodies and say, I don't think they're really alive anymore.
can we recognize any of them?
No, they're no one you particularly recognise.
Who cares then?
Sorry, was someone going to say something?
Yeah, I want to mention that I'm not quite sure how to sneak it in somewhere. I want to tell everybody there's a drag mark, so obviously someone's been dragged or something's been dragged away.
Should we check the drag marks and then go then?
Is it really a good idea with the kid? As much as I'd like to.
It could be someone else in trouble.
I
am a
wave my
healer
hands.
as well.
I sort of wave my hands and say, no, I think we should just get going.
Get there as quick as possible and come back and check.
Might be gone by then.
Yeah, they could be dead. This is a hard. Well, that. Did I see that bird was flying back to the west?
Yes.
That bird could have been that Kestrel woman's bird, for all we know, and she probably knew that we left north by this point, so that could be going to tell her that we're here. So
I think we should get her safe.
maybe we should just move on as fast as we possibly can.
I think so, yeah.
Problem is, if we get to the ranch and she's still following, then what?
I guess we'll have to deal with her if that happens, won't we? Well, the bird's not following us anymore, so well, the bird isn't.
It's found us once, and it's not exactly easy to hide.
Where else can we go though?
Well, you can carry on the road, like you'd have to go round the wagons, but you know, this is
Can
a
we
valid
search the
option.
wagons quickly? Just quickly have a look through, see if there's anything of value.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'll have a quick look. I'll search all the bodies and stuff. And
Okay, the bodies don't have much on them. Maybe a few coins. So, like, maybe between all the bodies, there's maybe $5 silver. Like, they all had a bit of change on them, but nothing significant. There was the sword that's at the feet of the human who's kind of like nailed to the wagon, which is a fairly simple steel sword, but you know, it's there. The wagons seemed mostly to have spilled their load everywhere, so a lot of it's ruined. There's a few bags of grain and a few kind of like farm tools and things, but it seems they were mostly transporting like farming equipment.
Is there anything by the way of a saddle?
Yeah, sure. There's one saddle lodged underneath one of the wagons.
Can I have the saddle for the horse?
You can certainly pick up the saddle and put it on your horse if you want to.
Yes, please. I do that.
I'll chuck the silver to Twig because she paid for my ration, and then I'll pick the sword up and put that in my bag. You said the guy was nailed to the fence.
Oh.
The car.
Well, I don't mean I mean impaled. Sorry.
Right.
It's
I'm
like
gonna
something
say-
threw him up in the air, and what killed him was like
Him landing on.
on a spiky part of the wagon. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at that, and then I'm gonna be like, maybe we should be moving on. And I'm gonna get back on my horse. I'm gonna go back over to Carponia and Nixon and get back on my horse with them.
Fair enough.
Yep, just the same. Mount back up.
Did you
Yeah.
get the silver I gave you?
Yeah, I've added it back to my
Okay, cool.
mount.
Guess mount up and go.
Do I need to put anything in for the saddle? Like, in my character sheet?
If you could record that you've got a saddled horse if you want to.
Problem is, I'm going to be going into a night. So, I need a horse.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Go for it.
Where
Yeah,
should I
you can
put
just
that?
put it in your equipment that you have it.
I'm gonna carry on following the path right on.
Okay, cool. So yeah, you make your way around the crashed wagons and the bodies, and you carry on along the road. So you kind of like it curves around, and you carry on heading roughly east. So I've put us back on the map now. So you've headed a route kind of more or less along this dotted line between Prosperity Junction and Gills Ranch. And yeah, like you carry on riding for most of the rest of the day. And just as the sun's setting at the end of the second day, like up ahead, you see smoke and the outlines of some buildings on the horizon. And what you assume is Gills Ranch, so you ride towards it. I'm afraid I don't have much set up for Gills Ranch yet, so you're just going to have to use your imaginations until next time.
Okay.
But yes, you have successfully made it to Gil's Ranch without any serious incident. Which is the point where, as a GM, I'm like, curses! They didn't walk into any traps or anything. But yeah, you as the sun's setting, you ride into Gil's Ranch, which is not a particularly impressive-looking place. Like, if Prosperity Junction seemed a bit of a ramshackle, thrown up quickly kind of a town, this place is like a hamlet. Essentially, it's like maybe 7 or 8 wooden farmhouses, kind of like arranged like in a higgledy-piggledy fashion. Like, there's no streets or real pattern, it's just a cluster of buildings. There's various animals kind of like kept in paddocks and fenced in. Like, they seem to have tamed some of the local buffalo and they've got them like fenced into a field. There's also some more typical cows from Verdant and some sheep and pigs and stuff like that, and a few horses tied up here and there. And as you ride into town, you are greeted at the edge by an assembly of hobgoblins, several of whom are armed. And as you get close, one of them steps forward. He's a rather chubby hobgoblin, who's quite nicely dressed, in sort of like nice dark trousers and a waistcoat, and he's got a nice big cowboy hat on, because why wouldn't you? And as you approach, he casually sort of pulls back his coat, so you can see he's got a pistol holstered at his hip, and he calls out to you, "That's far enough."
Hello.
Oh, God.
We have been travelling an awful long way with these lovely people that you may or may not know. Can we please stash this little girl at your ranch, please?
Wow.
I facepalm.
Yeah, just wow.
Can I lean to the side so they can see Nyx and Calpurnia behind me?
Sure, yeah. Okay, the guy looks at you and he goes, "Someone a stash? You want to explain that a little more? We don't get many people coming this way, and certainly nobody wanting to hide."
Can I talk to him and say, please don't mind my excitable friend here. It's been a long journey. We're looking for some help. You may know this hobgoblin we're traveling with. And then, yeah, I'll gesture to Calpurnia.
Okay. So, Calpurnia gets down off the horse and helps Nyx down. And, this guy sort of looks at her, and he's polite, and he goes, "No, I don't believe I've had the pleasure." And he walks forward to her, and he offers his hand, and they shake hands, and he goes, "Welcome to my ranch, sister. My name's Gil, and anyone of the free folk is welcome here." And yeah, she greets him, and they sort of say a few words in a language none of you understand. And then from the crowd, one of the lady hobgoblins, one of the ones who's armed with a really big rifle, comes running forward, and she runs up to Calpurnia and just like bear hugs her. And she goes, "Oh, it's so good that you finally got here. I was starting to worry." And they talk very excitedly in their sort of like gibbery, high-pitched language for a moment. And then Calpurnia sort of turns to you all, and she goes, "Everyone, I'd like you to meet my sister, Octavia." And like she's the one who I've been trying to get to all this time, and she introduces you sort of one by one, kind of like explaining who you are, like, "Oh, this is Blint. He kept us safe from gnolls and from pigs with his axe, and this is Krosek, who has helped to heal us and protect us, and this is Kavod, who's sort of the strong man of the group, and this is Twig, who is like the best babysitter you could ask for. And they kind of go around this, and like, and as she's doing this, the sort of the crowd who have been kind of like guarding the town line, they soften up and they warm up to you. And so soon, as Calpurnia's kind of like saying, "Oh, this is the person who did this," and "Oh, these are the people who have helped me," you know, like travel across the desert and everything, and like they warm up to you. And soon, like, there's lots of little hobgoblins coming up and like trying to shake your hands and pat you on the back, although most of you are too tall to be patted on the back, so they're just patting you on the back of the leg. And everyone's generally very happy to see you. And the chubby, well-dressed hobgoblin, who's Gil, as in it's Gil's ranch and he's Gil, he announces that you're all very welcome, and you know, they've just got their first harvest in. Why don't you, you know, join them for a big supper and stay with them for as long as you need to?
I'm gonna warn him about Kestrel.
Okay, so what,
And
you just want to warn him? What,
I'm
there's
gonna
someone
say-
after you?
Mainly after Calpurnia and Nick. Not that they're like hunting her, but like there's probably some trouble coming if they know about this place. And maybe you should put some guards out, or maybe partying and feasting is not such a great idea.
Okay. No, fair enough. He says he nods and he understands, and he says, "Don't, you know, not to worry. We can do both. All of us hogs have seen more combat than really anyone has any right to. We all know our way around a gun. I'll post several of my best people on watch tonight, while the rest of us get something to eat and something to drink." He's very sort of smiley and welcoming, and he seems quite keen for you to join him.
I'm gonna ask. So you've not had any trouble with the gnolls then?
No, we've had no trouble with the gnolls. Sometimes we've had a few problems from those pesky pucks now and again, but haven't seen a gnoll in months.
I sort of raise my hand. I'm like, "What's a puck?"
He kind of looks at you surprised, and he goes, I suppose you're new. The pucks are the puckwudgies. They're little tricksters that you get round these parts. They like to steal things, or they get into your crops or get in the fields with your animals, and they cast weird little spells. Nuisances mostly. Nothing like a gnoll, but we try to get rid of them whenever we see them.
I jut a thumb over at Blint, and I'm like, "Well, gnolls are no problem, so I can't imagine pucks are."
Yeah, Gil looks at Blint with his axe, and he goes, "Yeah, no, you have the look of a good hunter about you." But yeah, anyway, I've got to say, since it's nearly 10 o'clock, it's maybe slightly earlier than I planned to finish, but I think since you've managed to get here actually pretty well without incident, maybe just say, yeah, Gil invites you, you and Calpurnia and Nyx and everyone to join them, and we'll leave the session there for tonight.
Okay.
Sorry you didn't get combat, but you kept being very cautious and never really, never going into any potentially dangerous situations.
Well, I was a bit worried about that woman. The Kestrel seems a bit.
I had worked out the situations in which you might have some problems, but you have avoided them.
Our special tactic of just
Yeah.
running away.
So
Avoiding everything.
yeah, the downside is you don't go to combat. The good side is you actually completed your objective relatively pain-free.
Level up?
Yeah, I think I think this seems an appropriate point that we can say everyone goes up to level 2,
Woo.
which will have an impact on you depending on your class. Actually, it's probably all the same, but it's on your class table in the rulebook. Let's have a little look.
+2 to everything and 5,000 gold. I'm sure it is.
Yeah, totally.
Definitely, I'm sure I read that.
As a mage, I'd
Mage
become
gets a new
novice
talent.
and or a degree in a talent I already have.
Rogues get a stunt bonus, so you become. Oh, you become better at the pierce armor stunt if you're a rogue.
I get riding, dexterity. I get the riding ability focus.
Ah, cool. Okay, well, you can add that stuff to your character sheets now, or if you want to take some time to think about it, if there's a choice, then just feel free to add it before we get to the next session. And yeah, well done, everyone.
Yay. Is there anything like HP or defense or anything? Does any of that go up, or is it just what it says in our class thing?
30 stat increases.
I don't believe you get anything until it says you do.
In our class.
Yeah, I don't believe you get anything like that.
Okay.
I think health stays mostly the same, to be honest.
And yeah, armor and everything
Yeah.
changes with what you get, doesn't it?
Yeah. I will double check before next time in case there's anything that
I gain magic point.
you do get a magic point.
I gain willpower plus 1d6 magic points whenever I gain a new level.
Yeah, no, if you look below the thing, it's got gaining levels.
Okay, what page? Oh yeah, sure,
Page
right.
20.
Oh no, okay, yep. Okay, so yeah. When you gain a level, okay, here we go, let's go through it. 4 things happen immediately. Your character's health increases. You gain 1d6 plus constitution.
Ooh, so we need to roll for that.
Yeah.
Just doing my magic points. That's 4 for that.
Sorry, yeah, my mum just came in, so I missed what I have to do in terms of rogues. So I just get 1 to.
You get a thing whereby you can do the the pierce armor stunt for cheaper.
Oh, okay.
and
so
you
do I
also-
need to write that down at all, or just remember it?
I'd sort of write it down in your talents just for the sake of being complete, because we might forget it otherwise. And
So squishy-washy.
there's also these things on page 26 that happen when you gain a level. So
You get 1
you,
advancement to spend on 1 ability.
yeah. So one of your ability scores, like strength, dexterity, whatever, like you can increase by 1.
When you get an even numbered level, you must spend it on a primary.
Oh right, sure. So okay, so based on your class, you have a primary and a secondary ability. So like warriors have things like constitution, dexterity, fighting, and strength as their primaries. So you would have to put the extra point into one of those. For rogues and mages, the primaries are different, so you'll have to look at what your primaries are and add a point to one of those skills.
Mine's intelligence, perception, and willpower.
So I mean, to be honest, I'd say like it's okay to take your time and make that decision if you want. Just have it done for next time. So you get to increase your health, add 1 to one of those primary ability scores, and you get to pick a new ability focused, and it's an even numbered level. So you can add a focus to one of your primary abilities. And I know that some of you don't have an overwhelming number of focuses, so this is a good chance to start getting better at something.
Did we? I can't remember. Did we actually make rules for all of the mechanic type ones? Because I know we came up with the eventual class that you could go into, being a tinker.
Yeah.
But I can't remember if we had a focus as well. Like it was like our mechanical knowledge or something.
Oh, we made a mechanical law. I think we talked about it. We didn't actually write it down. You and I will have to just check in with each
'Cause-
other in the next few days, and we'll just make a rule for it. But I guess you can say, yeah, there's a mechanical law focus.
Because I want to put my thing into that in that case.
Sure, yeah, you can just put like intelligence, mechanical law. Like, I think it basically works exactly the same as any kind of law, except it's to
Yeah.
do with machinery.
Machines. Okay. I'll put that down for now then. And my primary things are dexterity, and I can't find where to find it.
Oh, it's on the bit about rogues. So
Oh yeah, no, accuracy, communication, dexterity. Oh, I'm gonna add it to perception because I've already got 4, so I'm gonna be really perceptive.
plus you keep having to make perception checks.
Or maybe communication.
I'm going to maybe read up a little on ways to avoid it just being perception all the time, and like see when it's appropriate to maybe
Well,
ask
stuff.
you to check another stat.
You have to put it in an odd. If it's even, you put it in a primary, and if it's odd, you have to put it in a secondary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're on primaries because you've just hit level 2, so it's even.
Yeah, that's alright.
I think you're not going to avoid the perception that easily.
Is that a perception joke, Kenny?
Ha ha ha.
Okay, well, I'll let you guys fill that in as you want to. If you have any questions, just feel free to message me on Discord or just grab me to ask me at some point. Otherwise, I will see you to play this again in 2 weeks' time.
Awesome.
Cool.
Well, I enjoyed that. Hopefully you did too.
Yeah, me too.
Yep, it's good.
Cool. I will
I've
end
made
the
some
stream.
changes.